Have you ever wondered what fisheye photography would look like on, say, 4x5-inch film? This past weekend, I tested out a fisheye adapter on a large format lens and camera. I'm using this Kenko fisheye adapter that allows you to change the focal length depending on whatever lens you're attaching it to. In my case, I'm using a Fujinon W 210mm f5.6. I'm adapting from 55mm to 67mm. This adapter came with a 55mm mounting ring, so it depends on what lens you're going to use. Some of these come with a 49mm, and the other ones I've seen come with a 55. Just adapt it to whatever lens you're going to be using, and make sure you put the correct setting on the lens. As far as the film goes, I'm using Ilford HP5 Plus, and I'm rating it at box speed. I'm set up here in the backyard of my house just to focus on some plants that I have. I slung the camera upside down as it gave me the best stable platform that I could use to get the camera nice and close to the plants that I was photographing. Okay, I wanted to see if this would fit in kind of the weird category of like a probe lens. So I got it real close to these flowers that my wife's growing in the backyard. And all right, let's see if we can take the picture and see what happens, okay? You can see how close I'm actually getting to the plants. I guess technically it's not a probe lens per se, but it's such a wide angle view and you're able to get so close to the plants that I really didn't know how else to categorize it. I went with HC110. I'm using a water stop. As far as fixing goes, I'm using TF4. So one of the biggest downsides of doing this this way, you only get about an 80. It's smaller. It's slightly smaller than an 80mm image circle. If you go for 250mm taking lens, you lose some in focus areas, but you gain a overall larger image. I don't think it makes sense to go longer since the adapter lens doesn't have a setting to help compensate for that. So you can play around with it. I did try 250mm, but I didn't like the results. So to start with, if you are going to use this in set to infinity, you are going to see about a 50% fall off past the center. The center is going to be sharp. There's no doubt about that. But past about 50% of the way, it gets soft quickly. The edges are very soft, but you can see in this image that to the far left and to the far right, the ends of my yard. So you can see this lens is creating a 180-degree image, but you lose so much detail at infinity. I didn't try stepping down the Kenko adapter to f90. That might have given me the rest of the image, or at least sharpened it up a little bit. But I did this at f45, and I was already concerned that there was going to be a diffraction problem. So I didn't push past f45 in my testing. Now this image is very, very close. I was only about an inch or less from the flower when I took this photo. And as you can see, it's well in focus. The only reason why the flower to the left of the center one is slightly blurred is while I was doing the exposure, the wind hit it and it's got a bit of motion blur. But this, interestingly enough, has more in focus than at infinity. So if you go and use this for more close-up photography, you can get quite a bit of the field in focus. This image as well, you can see there's quite a bit in focus, but the edges are still fairly heavy on that softness. You're not going to be able to use the full width unless you step down more, and at that point you're going to end up going into some sort of diffraction. At f45, I'm sure I'm already getting some sort of diffraction. I didn't really want to spend a bunch of time testing this. This was just an idea I had one day sitting on the couch thinking maybe it would work. And it kind of does. It's not 100% perfect, but it's functional enough that I think that you could possibly use this to have some fun with. Now, who is this really for? Because at the end of the day, I don't foresee a bunch of people using this in large format. It's fun. The images that the lens can produce is really cool on like 4x5. But the lens functions so much better on like a full frame or APS-C sized camera. So if you bought this lens to make any other lens you already have a fisheye, then it's a fun thing to use, and then you can test it out with like large format 4x5. In order to get the image circle that I got, I had to go with 210 millimeters. You could go up to, I guess, 250 or 300 to gain a larger image circle, but you're only going to get a few, maybe 20 or 30 more millimeter image circle by adding that much focal length. I guess you could potentially try and adapt this to 1,000 millimeters, but it would be pretty ridiculous and useless. I don't think you'd be able to even cover 5x7 with that much focal length. So it's a ridiculous setup. It's a ridiculous idea. It's an abomination, but it's fun. I kind of enjoy these images. I kind of like these. I have some other wide angle ideas I want to test out with my 65 millimeter lens later. But for right now, I think as far as I'm going to play around with fisheye photography on large format, this is pretty much it. Anyways, now that you've seen what I've done with this, what are your thoughts on this? Leave your comments below. I'm kind of curious to see what you might use this for, or even any suggestions you have to get a better image out of this on 4x5. I don't know if it's possible. This will definitely work on like medium format. If I went 6x7 or 6x6, I could probably get a pretty decent wide angle image out of it. I don't know. I know some of you are wondering what's happening with the 16. Unfortunately, the weather's been really bad the past week or so. I'm loaded up and ready to go test the camera, but until the weather gets better, I can't take the camera out as it's just been too windy and rainy and just a mess. The videos are coming soon. I will be doing something with the 16 for sure. If you like the video, hit like, subscribe, do all that stuff, and if you enjoyed this video, YouTube thinks you might like this one, so click that video on screen. Thanks for watching.